Well, we love new techniques. And Julie, you have a new technique to show us today. What are we going to do?
We're going to do something super fun, and we're working on pastel board, which is actually just it's a piece of board that has clay, so it really has a lot of gription, for lack of a better word. And I am just using an oil pastel, and oil pastels are great. You just bright, intense colors. You can just grind them on in. You can smooth them with your fingers and really feel like you're making some art.
Making a mess.
Exactly. So I'm just having fun, and I can get scratchy in there, and I can mix up the colors so I get a little bit of green, and I can rub it in. And really,
they really do blend well.
They really do blend nicely, and it comes in so many different colors. And the thing is, you just want to make sure that you're covering up as much of that white as possible. That's our goal. And you don't have to worry about what colors go. Virtually any color you grab goes. And you don't have to just do a circle. You can do around
just
the circle and scribble it, you know.
Yeah, this is great for kids to do too. It's not just for adults. This is so great
for kids to do, and you just have fun playing around with it. And you can, again, as I said, mix those colors, have a good time, use your fingers, really get in there.
You know, we always have a good time when there's no rules, right?
It's true. It's true. And once you have colored it all in, you'll probably have something that looks something like this or your own take on it. And then we're going to do something very scary. We're going to take a black oil pastel, and you're just going to color over the whole thing. Cover it entirely, and you may want to turn it so you get really good coverage going over that whole pretty drawing that you just did.
You just have to make it really solid,
You
right?
really want to cover it, cover it, cover it, cover it. Put your muscle into it. Get that oil pastel going.
Now, did this have to dry or anything like that?
No, and in fact, oil pastels never dry. So if you had to go take a phone call, or if you went away for 100 years, you could come back and it would still be ready to go.
And you can still work on it.
Exactly.
I like the 100-year part.
I do too. So here you can see that I have one that's completely and totally covered with the black. And I have a stencil here, and you could use any stencil you like. This one is a tree, as you can see. And then I'm going to use a very exciting tool. You know what this is, don't you?
A skewer.
Bamboo skewer, yes. Use it for making all sorts of stuff. And what I'm going to do is everywhere that there's a hole, I'm using the bamboo skewer, and I'm just going to scratch away. And I don't worry about it being perfect. Imperfection is a wonderful thing. We are drawn to wonderfully lopsided things. So I just scratch around, having fun. This is a great mindless thing. I have to tell you the truth. My mother and I talk about 18 times a day on the phone. And one of the things I do when we're on the phone is I do stuff like this.
You doodle?
I do a lot of doodly, crafty things because, you know, it's a good time. I'm chatting with her. I don't have to think about it. And, you know, I think it's a fun and easy way. I have a friend.
Okay, now you're scratching the black away. I get that.
I am.
Well, how come the yellow's not disappearing too, and you're not seeing that pastel board appear underneath?
Well,
is it because it's blending into the board? Or?
Yeah, I mean, that is part of the magic of it, I have to say. I'm sure there is a wonderful scientific explanation of why it works, but I always just think it's because the gription. I think that if you do scratch and scratch and scratch and scratch, you may eventually get there, but really that layer of color clings pretty nicely onto the board.
Black is probably not going to blend into that color quite as much as the colors blended into the pastel board.
It's sitting more on the
top. Either way, it works, and it's a cool technique.
It's fantastic. So you can see I'm just scratching and scratching, and all the different colors get revealed. Would you like to see what it looks like when you scratch everything away?
Well, you know, I'll tell you what I'm really fascinated about, though, is because you've got all those different colors underneath, and there's really no rhyme or reason to how you put the colors down. And so if you left it, you know, a couple of days or an hour. I mean, it's a big surprise every time you scratch that black away.
It is. Big surprise. So here you go. This is what it looks like. Let me turn it around there.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Ta-da! Now, this is still, it's unsealed. So if I were to scratch any of this black, I've now, So how do you deal with this? Just take cheap hairspray and spray it, and that's actually going to act as a fixative, and that will hold it for a while. It won't hold it 100%. And then what I did is I just cut out some little letters from paper, just used some sharp scissors, and I outlined them with a black pen. And then I simply take them and put them right on top here, and then I just used a matte gel medium to put them down. And then to use that over the whole thing to seal it.
As a sealer, yeah.
And then this is what you end up with this very cool piece of art.
It's really, really cool. It's kind of like the scratch art, but it's a little bit more artsy.
Well, and you know, a stencil is a great thing because it gives you a safe design to play in, so you're not so worried. This is a tag that I made. You can see with this using the star stencil, but you can see it looks a little different. And the reason for that is instead of using black over it, I actually used a blue, and it went very transparent. And so you can do that and get a very different look right here.
Have you ever done white? Or
You know, I've never even tried white. I wonder what it would look like.
We'll have to try that. We'll try that
I like
later.
craft investigations.
Yes.
And here's a scrapbook layout, and I wanted to show how this tag that's on the layout uses a big scratch art flower, which I think is really kind
I
of
love
cool.
the center too. That little bit of bling.
A little bit of bling,
We
something
love our
special.
bling.
We do, we're girls. And then here is a piece that is just larger. It's on a 12 by 12 pastel board. And again, the pastel board on that was actually gray, and the color underneath doesn't matter because it doesn't show at all.
Because whatever color you
Whatever color you put on top is what
completely.
shows. And then finally, I have this little painting or drawing of a girl that I did, and I did actually scratch into her face some of the detail lines to show some of that zigzag that's
And
underneath.
it adds the texture too. So this is really fun, but I think we need to go try the white. We'll be right back.